Okay, so these are the papers that I've made for my collage. I've just gathered them and used some paint just to bring some colour into it, and I've kind of tried to use kind of the same colours so that there's something that is that they all, there's some sort of commonality between them. And now I'm going to cut them up. And when I cut them up, I don't look at, I sort of do it randomly. So I just cut from the back of it so that I'm not trying to cut out specific little pieces. Um, that way, otherwise it can get awfully fussy if you're trying to cut little bits out. Anyway, so this is just how I do it. And cutting pieces so that they're more manageable, because these pieces of paper are quite big, and this collage is going to be in my book, so it's going to be quite small. So I'm just getting some smaller pieces, and I'll be able to fit these onto my page in a more manageable sort of way. So that's just all the prep work. And still cutting. And now I've got lots of options. So the first thing, this is a piece of writing. Okay, so this is a bit of paper that I quite liked, and I like those lines because it's similar to the line of that on the stalk of that flower, and I'm going to keep that. And so what I'm doing here is looking for papers that have something in common with what is next to it, but obviously something that's very different as well. So it needs to have something to connect it, and it needs to be slightly different. That way it can, the composition can be integrated, not too random, so that there seems to be no connection between the various pieces. So having got a few ideas there, I'm just going to start now. You need to sort of commit to an idea at some stage, because there are so many options, you can go on forever. So committing to the first idea of having those first bits of paper that I came up with there, and putting these down, gluing them down, and then I've got something to work with. And this is them all going down, and then lastly, and I liked that big, I've got the very small flower there, and that big shape next to it. It's quite different, but can you see the connection between the colour, the blue, how that connects with the paper next to it? So there's the connector, and there's the difference. The large shape, the large sort of hemisphere shape is the difference. The connection is the blue. And now I'm just, having got those stuck down, I'm now trying to come up with options for the right hand side of this composition. I'm connecting it with that strong bit of black. I was looking at that. I like that shape, and it sort of relates to the black and white that I've got going on in the left hand side. So I'm butting that up with an edge of the blue, and now I've got to find collage pieces that create something of interest on the right hand side that is different and yet has some connection to what's going on the left hand side. So those colours are the same, and that shape there is very square, so I quite like the difference of that square next to that sort of random curve that's sitting next to it. And now I have to find something that's going to go on the right hand side that's going to sort of tie the whole thing together, or sort of finish it off in some way. So it's just a matter of finding options. Then I thought, okay, so I've got one flower detail, which is representational. How about I bring in a couple more other representational bits, which is why I brought in the butterfly. So that's coming in, and that bit of orange is just sort of bringing that orange down from the top. Here's a butterfly going in. Didn't like it there, so then I went and put it over by the flower, and I quite like it there because it sort of helps to connect those two lines. the stem and that white line, and then having had one butterfly, you can't have one butterfly without putting another one in, so I'm going to just use that butterfly there as a vertical bit of detail. Now, having stuck down my pieces, then I'm going to come over the top with a pen and just kind of bring in a little bit more detail on this right hand side with drawing. I've got some drawing on the left hand side, and so this helps to bring that same element over, although I'm doing it slightly differently on the right hand side. And then just sort of coming in with a little bit of paint just to define some edges and create some shapes in this over the top of the collage. And that's kind of quite a nice thing to do, is to bring the paint in at the very end so that it sort of integrates the collage again, just sort of finishing off little bits. And there we are. That's the final composition. I quite like that composition. It's quite fun. And this